welcome to Hold Up, a movie podcast. Last time we observed the world of those who keep secrets and a council of one. This time we turn our cameras to those looking to expose secrets and reach as many eyes and ears as possible. Kind of like us, eh, Murphy? Because tonight's theme is journalism. And I am your host, Davan Skelhorn, and with me, as always, my co-host, Chris Worldmind Murphy. How's it going, buddy?
I'm mad as hell, and I can't take it anymore.
Is that right?
No, I'm actually good. No. Honestly, these movies weren't terrible. I enjoyed them to a degree. I enjoyed.
Yeah.
It's
this
weird.
Is an interesting selection. Let's put it that way.
It's weird, honestly. When I watch these films, my initial reaction is like, "Ugh, what a waste of time." And then I sit back and I reflect on them, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe it wasn't such a waste of time.
Yeah,
There were some good things that were highlighted. I was frustrated with how it was presented, sure. But
I'm like that with movies a lot of times. Like, I had a couple of visceral reactions to a couple of these movies, but that faded.
Yeah. My visceral reactions to the first two movies were not. It was like, why do we, and
well, we'll get into it.
We're gonna get into it.
So here what do we have for the people in Theater 1, Murphy?
Down at Theater 1, we're looking at 1976 in the network, aren't we?
Yep, starring Faye Dunaway, Peter Finch, William Holden, and Robert Duvall, directed by Sidney Lumet.
Good old town of Sidney Lumet. Let's see what his trailer had for us, shall we?
Let's do it.
And now, the distinguished television news commentator, Mr. Howard Beale.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like at this moment to announce that I will be retiring from this program in 2 weeks' time.
It was an interesting first shot there, actually, because they say he's the number 4 guy, and they just showed the other 3 guys.
Yeah, I like
my
the
brains out right on this
multi-screen
program
representation happening.
a week from today.
What the hell's going on?
Prepare yourself for a perfectly outrageous motion picture.
Howard Beale went up there last night and said what every American feels, and
how
he's tired
it's
of all
supposed
the
to be
bull.
outrageous, but it's
We're talking about putting a
not
manifestly
anymore.
irresponsible man
No,
on
it's
national
not, and I
television.
can't stand
I am
Faye
not
Dunaway's
putting
character.
Howard back on the air.
It's not your show anymore, Max. It's mine.
Most of the characters, other than the crazy guy, I can't stand in this movie.
Got to
I
watch.
mean,
I don't
Faye
think it's
Dunaway's
supposed
character
to.
was designed for it, right?
We'll see. I want a
Yeah,
show
I think that's
developed
the thing.
based on the activities of a terrorist group.
That ending scene there,
Make a TV star out of you.
did not like that as an editor.
Like Archie Bunker.
And this scene had me like, I was like, what the fuck?
Television!
There is no America. There is no democracy. There is only IBM and DuPont and Exxon.
And you have meddled with the primal forces of nature. And you will atone.
Is he Ned
Am I
Beatty?
getting through to you, Mr. Beale?
Why me?
It was your own
He's in
television,
this.
dummy.
That must be
Ladies and gentlemen, the Network News Hour with Howard Beale.
I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window.
Is this a trailer,
open it,
or is this like
and
trying to
stick
show
your
us
head
the
out and
entire
yell,
movie?
Yeah, that was
I'm
Ned
as
Beatty.
mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take
No,
this
this is the
anymore.
trailer. This was like the
Things have gotta
theatrical
change.
trailer that was
You gotta
released.
get mad. You gotta say
Thank God, they gave away too much.
They always give
I want
away
you to
too
get up
much.
right now. Go to your windows, stick your head out, and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore."
Yeah, that might have been my favorite scene,
Are they
actually.
yelling in Atlanta, Ted?
Well, it's too late now. You told me before.
Yeah. Well, we're seeing it here.
It's true. It's like one of the most climactic and
That was
best scenes.
definitely my favorite scene. Yeah.
Network by Patty Chayefsky, directed by Sidney Lumet, produced by Howard Gottfried. Television will never be the same.
Well, you know what? That's prophetic somewhat, because
So
this
prophetic.
movie. Well, look, let's just do this. But let's just say there wouldn't be the third movie we're gonna watch tonight if it wasn't for this movie. I'll tell you that.
Television was never the same. It's true. It's
No.
true. This was like this was the stepping stones for the final movie that we watched tonight. I love how it all comes
Absolutely.
together.
I don't. You do, but I don't. All right, let's break out a little synopsis here for Network. I'm sure I have one. All right, Network. So we have Beale. He's the fourth. Yeah, Howard Beale, played by Peter Finch, and he's the newscaster at United Broadcasting System, and I believe they say he's the fourth. It doesn't say that here, but he's like the fourth most popular one in the city. So he's not the king of the crop, let's just say, but they feel like he's not bringing in the young audience, and they want to fire him. And Max, his network executive Max, played by William Holden, he fires him, but he has to give him his 2 weeks, so he's still gonna like, that's odd situation to put someone in. You fire them and then you still put them on the air for 2 weeks. I mean, they're asking for it, really.
It's true.
But he doesn't like the idea of losing his job, because him and Max go out drinking, and he tells him, he's just like, I don't have anything else. I'm literally just this job, and that's it. So on his next broadcast, he goes out and tells the audience that he's going to kill himself next week on the broadcast, right, on live on camera. He's just like, I'm going to kill myself for you all to watch it. He's just like, I want to go out like on top where I like to be, and that's what I'm going to do. And like, it's crazy, of course. And they're like, well, we can't put him on. He's saying things like that. But then enter in Faye Dunaway, Diana Christensen. She reminds me so much of Rene Rousseau's character. She's like a cross between the two main characters in Nightcrawler. But anyway, she's cutthroat and just all about the job. Like, see, this is why I find her character so offensive, basically, is it's in her portrayal of it too, but people who are just like so motivated in their job. And it's like, but like, it depends on what that job is too. Like, it's different when you're working for yourself, but she's just another cog in the machine, and she's just like so obsessed and like willing to give up her personal morality and do anything to just like do a little bit better at her job. And to me, I just don't find that, like, some people find that, like, I guess, inspiring or something, or like to be that motivated. But like, you got to pick what you got to be motivated for, and I don't know. I don't find it entertaining or engaging or likable, particularly in this character. Anyway, hi Miles, my kitty's here. But he doesn't. There she is. Yeah. So they even force a romance plot into this movie between her and Max, who's like old enough to be her father, and it's awkward. It's not. There's no chemistry between them. It's a really ham-fisted romance plot, I found. But he doesn't go through with it. He doesn't kill himself, obviously, but the ratings are going through the roof because he's saying crazy things.
That shit got me. The whole like, oh, I'm gonna kill myself, and then he just ultimately doesn't do it, and it just continues on for like perceivingly a year.
Well, he keeps saying crazy stuff. He just keeps going off script and just being
he
this,
essentially
like,
becomes like
prophet of the people, basically, where he's just like, everything's a scam. Everyone, like, the fix is in, and you gotta be mad and not take it anymore. And then that's like, again, the best scene. I probably should have said that was my favorite scene, but yeah. Oh, look who it is! That guy on the right there. You see him in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I was trying to remember his name.
He was the father. He's the father in Son-in-Law with Pauly Shore.
Yes, but what's his name?
I forget.
Oh, this is gonna
Yeah,
bug
there's a
me.
lot of stuff.
Is it
Like, there's a lot of good
Robert
actors in this
Gibson?
movie. Robert Duvall plays the head of the network. Um, but so he starts rambling about the horrible state of the world and television in particular. And at the end of his broadcast, that's where he tells the viewers to go to the window and shout as loud as they can, "I'm mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take it anymore." And they all do it, and it's a great scene. We saw it in the trailer there.
How many other am I
But
doing?
like
Is Boston
that's
doing it?
that's the counterpoint in this movie where it's all very, very like kind of cutthroat and crass in its journalism, like leading to like Nightcrawler later on that we're going to talk about, where it's just all about the story, and there's like not no one, they're giving up on integrity and things like that. Like this is at kind of the time where the downfall of the news started, as far as I mean, it depends on who you ask, I guess. But the 24-hour bullshit news cycle that we have now is garbage, and news used to be more like this, where they'd be owned by the news networks would be owned by huge corporations, but they weren't expected to be profitable. Now everything has to be profitable, and that's the problem. Like, people used to take a hit on their news division because it was all about just keeping it as unbiased and legit as possible, and this movie is like portraying the end of that because of people like Faye Dunaway's character. Like, there's some of the old school guys, like Max is a little more old school, and obviously Howard Beale was more old school. But like, the reason, and that's why they wanted to get rid of his character too, is because he was old school, and they wanted somebody who's more young and controversial and like fantastic, so God, this movie's depressing. Like, you like seeing the beginning of the end, you're like, oh no, this is where it happened. And then we get Nightcrawler. So yeah, they call him the mad prophet of the airwaves, and like I say, they force in the romance plot. It's terrible. That's pretty much the movie. He becomes the hottest TV personality in the entire country, and Faye Dunaway's character becomes, the like the shining light of the network for her intuition on keeping Beale on the airwaves. So that's it, though. That's the movie.
That's okay. Okay.
Basically, it's not a deep plot or anything.
I mean, technically, there's a bit more to the plot than that.
Well, yeah, okay. Well, he gets bigger and bigger. He's doing live shows.
There's also okay. I think
There's
you
the romance
completely
plot. It's
just.
terrible.
I think okay. Stop right there. I think what
All right,
happened
you
here
go for it.
is you watched this film and you were so turned off by Faye Dunaway, you stopped paying attention to what her storyline was.
Oh, I get what her storyline was. She looked up to Max when she was a student, and he was like the hot young news anchor. And then she's just like, "Oh, now I'm older. Now I can bang this old guy." But like, they had no chemistry. It wasn't interesting. It
They
was
also
just
had the
very
weakest
cliche
sex
plot.
scene I've ever seen. This
Yeah,
was like
it's
she
awful.
humped him
It's
twice,
awful.
came and then laid down. It was like, wow, that was
Yeah,
that
that
wasn't
was
even
supposed to be
effort.
funny though. That was like a joke, because this is definitely
I
like a
think so.
satire. But like, compared to other satires we've watched, such as like Doctor Strangelove, this is
Okay, but the thing is, she was also trying to bring in new shows. Like there was that whole like subplot where she was trying to bring in like radical like TV shows and reality TV shows as well, which
yeah.
also was a precursor to what things would be.
Oh, this was very prophetic movie. Very much so. Like, it took 20 years or more for some of this stuff to come to fruition, but yeah,
I was
they
I was
knew.
surprised to see Robert Duvall in this movie, and he looked exactly the same as he
I know
has
Yeah, I know. I thought that same thing, and I laughed. That's pretty funny.
I
Yeah,
was
he's
like, hey,
just
it's Robert Duvall, and he looks
he's
exactly the same.
preserved,
He's well preserved.
well preserved.
No, I loved it. Okay, so realistically, what happened? Hi, I'm gonna put you
Why
down.
don't you take the plot from there, Murphy? Because
All right, so basically, Howard Beale, he steps the stage and he wants to do the whole like I'm gonna commit suicide on TV, which draws in the audience and brings the numbers. And Faye Dunaway's character, I think her name was Christina.
Diana.
She sees the Diana. Sorry, she
Christensen.
sees. Yeah, Diana Christensen. That's it. She sees the opportunity to become, jump on these ratings and ride the wave, and she sees the gold mine that Howard Beale is. She milks.
And I
him for
get
what
her
he's worth.
character. Like she's like a female in a male-dominated workplace, and she's trying to like prove herself to them, and then prove herself to be better than them as well. But
Very much so.
again,
And
I don't know if
basically,
it's her performance
she
or what, but I didn't find any of that interesting.
That's fair, and obviously she is running this UBS, which is a fake news station next to like ABC, NBC, and CBS, and ultimately would become what we now know as Fox News. Weirdly enough, all the things that happened, but through the chaos of Howard Beale becoming wilder and crazier, and he would have these like rants and spiels on stage and just straight pass out. Just after he was done saying what he was done, he would straight pass out on
No one
on
would
stage.
check on him or anything, though. Everyone would just be like, "Yay!"
Yep, just start
He's
clapping and
lying
pushing on the camera, like no big deal.
like he's clearly
and
having a mental breakdown, and they're just exploiting it, and it's a bit nuts.
So yeah, Faye Dunaway and William Holden, they get together and they have the weakest love chemistry. They move through to the point where William Holden's or
Peter Finch.
Yes, Peter Finch's character. He's gotten so insane and too powerful for them to actually take off air because they need the ratings. So they're just like, well, what do we do with them? Like, well, they try to get him to listen to the big boss in one of my favorite scenes, honestly, and through the process, basically, like, love this. And then you have the whole side story where she's trying to like run I don't even know what to call them, I guess. Like they don't quite say what group their name is, but I guess black radical sort of reality TV shows what she's trying to present, and this lady's has to follow Howard Beale, and she's losing her shit on Faye Dunaway's character because the numbers are dipping and people are starting to get bored of the ranting and stuff like that. And through that process, her and this old guy break up. He's like, I don't know, I'll figure it out. I'm like, well,
Who already lost his wife and everything because of it, didn't he?
Right, and
Or is
then
that a different movie?
and then in no word of a lie, this scene where they finish this scene where they kill him, it's just like clapping audience, clapping audience, clapping audience. He comes, he walks in, stands up, Uzi, stands up, pistol, blam, 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 and they just push in on him. And it was cut so fast and so poorly. I was like, well, that just sucked me out of this movie entirely. And that's what really was disappointing, I found.
Yep.
But yeah.
It was I'm of kind of two minds about this movie. It's like because it really is prophetic, and Peter Finch was great in it, and his character. Every time he's on screen, I'm interested. But every time his character's not on screen, I am not interested.
Yeah.
So, it's tough. It's tough.
Well, like
anything else you'd want to say about the plot and storytelling there, Murphy?
I would say
there's not much of one.
There's not much of one. In fact, there was this film has like 2 or 3 good scenes in about a 2-hour film, and I don't know.
Yep.
It wasn't jumping out at me, but I gotta know. What was your favorite scene?
What scene would I hold up? Well, I'm not sure which one I picked and told you, but we'll go with that. But also, I'll mention I really love the I'm mad as hell. I'm not gonna take it anymore.
Take that.
I
think that's the most classic and obvious scene in the film. We try to like maybe avoid those. Go for something a little more esque, but this is what you chose.
Cue announcer. The UBS Evening News.
Oh yeah, the very first
With
one.
Howard
Yeah, this
Beale.
is good stuff.
Ready to cue Howard.
See, I was in the movie at this point. I was
Today
all
is
in.
Wednesday, September the 24th. And this is
Yeah,
my
I
last
was too,
broadcast.
but then they started focusing on the like love
Yesterday, I
relationship
announced on this
thing, and it was
program
like,
that I was going to commit public
Boss
suicide.
me.
Admittedly, an act of madness. Well, I'll tell you what happened.
Oh no, this is his
I just
second
ran out of
broadcast,
bullshit.
right?
All right, cut him off. Leave him on.
leave them on.
Oh, the bullshit.
Am I
This
still
is
on
my
the air?
favorite. Yeah, this is great.
how he wants to go out.
I don't know any other way to say it, except that I just ran out of bullshit.
Yeah. Look, Mr. Schumacher's right here. Do you want to talk to him?
Bullshit is all the reasons we give for living. And if we can't think of any reasons of our own, we always have the God bullshit.
Holy Mary, Mother of
We don't
Yeah,
know why
Tom,
the
what
hell
is
we're
it?
going through all this pointless pain, humiliation, and decay, so there better be someone somewhere who does know. That's the God bullshit.
He's saying that life is bullshit, and it is. So what are you
And
screaming
it
about?
Man is
is.
a noble creature.
Yeah, that was my favorite line in the whole movie. What? He's saying life is bullshit, and it is. What are you talking about? Like, yeah, love it. Yeah, and that was an interesting speech for him to be making too, because this is like the beginning of the bullshit. Like the bullshit gets way worse. He starts talking about it in this movie, and then 20 years later, the world is pretty consumed by bullshit.
Yeah, no, it's kind of it's funny how this film was designed to be a satire, but every scene of it doesn't play as a satire
true.
because it's
'Cause it
just
came
like,
true.
This is life. What do
Yeah,
you
man.
mean? What do you mean this
Gee,
is supposed to be a satire? I thought, is this not like supposed to be played straight? It kind of feels like it's played straight, but poorly. And
Yeah,
it's
might be
wild.
changing my mind on this movie a little. Let's what scene would you hold up, Murph?
You know what? The one that I had that hold up was when he had to come to face to Ned Beatty's character.
Oh yes, just because of the long kind of dark
Yeah,
table shot.
Arthur Jensen.
Like,
oh, I
it
love
is a
that
cool
shot.
shot.
It was gorgeous.
You have
Those
meddled
old-
with
those
the
old, like,
primal
Tiffany
forces
lamps.
of nature, Mr. Beale, and I won't have it. Is that clear?
Is that
You
clear?
think you merely stopped a business
won't
deal.
have it.
That is not the case. The Arabs have taken billions of dollars out of this country, and now they must put it back.
And now they must
It
put
is
it
ebb
back.
and flow, tidal gravity. It is ecological balance.
It's
You
just
are an old man
the core.
who thinks in terms
Everything
of
about this is
nations
the
and
core.
peoples. There are no nations. There are no peoples. There are no Russians. There are no Arabs. There are no third worlds. There is no West. There is
bullshit.
only one holistic system of systems. One vast and immane, interwoven, interacting, multivariate, multinational dominion of dollars. Petrodollars, electrodollars, multi-dollars, Reichmarks, rims, rubles, pounds, and shekels. It is the international system of currency which determines the totality of life on this planet. That is the natural order of things today. That
Beatty
He's
didn't
just
get
so
awards.
stunned,
is the
Peter Pan.
atomic and subatomic and galactic structure of things today.
Yeah, that's a great scene.
And you have meddled with the primal forces of nature. And you will atone. Am I getting through to you, Mr. Beale?
Am I getting through to you, Mr. Beale?
You get up on your little 21-inch screen and howl about America and democracy. There is no America. There is no democracy. There is only IBM and ITT and AT&T and DuPont, Dow, Union Carbide, and
people.
Exxon. Those are the nations of the world today.
Those are the nations.
What do you think the Russians talk about in their councils of state? Karl Marx? They get out their linear programming charts, statistical decision theories, Minimax solutions, and compute the price-cost probabilities of their transactions and investments, just like we do. We no longer live in a world of nations and ideologies, Mr. Beale. The world is a college of corporations, inexorably determined by the immutable bylaws of business. The world is a business, Mr. Beale.
The world is a business.
It has been since man crawled out of the slime.
I hope this movie didn't manifest all this stuff into existence.
Will
Wouldn't
live
that be wild?
God damn.
to see that perfect world in which there's no war or famine, oppression or brutality.
It'd be nice.
One vast and ecumenical holding company for whom all men will work to serve a common profit, in which all men will hold a share of stock, all necessities provided, all anxieties tranquilized, all boredom amused.
Am I getting through to you, Mr. Beale?
And I have chosen you, Mr. Beale, to preach this evangel.
Why me?
Because you're on television, dummy.
Which is
Yeah, like that
which
whole
is a
scene
great
is like, is he the
callback.
boss? Is he the devil? Is he God? Like, who is Ned Beatty there? Like, that's
Well, that's the thing. He says like, later in that scene, he's like, "Am I looking at the face of God?" He's like, "You very well may have." And the thing too is, he also says the line, "Because you're on television, dummy." And earlier in the film, there's a scene where he's all passed out and he wakes up and he's like, "Ah, okay, I understand." He goes back on TV and he was like, "I was told that I needed to be on here, and I asked them why. I asked the voice why, and it said to me, because you're on television, dummy." So he like thought of this before it happened, or like, I don't know. It was a wild little ride. It's just I don't know. It was probably my favorite scene, I would have to say.
performance would you hold
I mean, Peter Finch held it together, but really,
Turn it to Ned?
yeah, I'm gonna give it to Ned.
Just for that one monologue. It was
Just for that
long.
one monologue, it won
Yeah,
me
yeah.
over. Like, it had so much gravitas,
It
so
was
much
great.
humor, so
Oh,
much
yeah.
like the way he went, like, "You will atone." Am I getting through to you, Ned? Like
Yeah.
that ability.
You will atone, Mr. Bill.
Yeah, so
Oh,
good.
yeah. I'll give it to Peter Finch then. This was his last movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So he went out strong. Like, odd performance to go out on, because it's all about going out. Like, it's all about ending your career and being fired and aging and being exploited. Like, uh, yeah. What do you think of the setting aesthetic?
I thought it was pretty cool. Well, I mean, yeah, I thought it portrayed
That table
the
scene
the
there, that looked
the
beautiful
table
with
scene was
Ned
the most
Beatty.
gorgeous scene. Like there was some
And the
really
I'm not
cool,
gonna
like,
take it anymore with the
in
building and
the
everyone like
streets, and yeah,
they just keep adding to it. Like another person will come to the window and it's just a static shot, but then you see another person and they all just start yelling it, and oh, that's nuts.
yeah, and I love some of the television like stage scenes too, and how they kind of like the low angle, like that his set where he had to like walk in and like close the wall behind him, and he was basically like locked in this little desk. Like, I thought that was really a nice little touch, honestly. Um, yeah, no, it was well
I feel like it
done. It's
was
just it's so weird. It's such a
it's
weird
two
film.
movies. Like I feel like
Yeah.
it's two movies. It's one movie that's trying to be like satirical, of course, but prophetic, and maybe not prophetic. That might be a bit egotistical on their part, but it's looking towards the future. It's predictive. It's trying to be predictive and like it's just extrapolating on things they're seeing in their society in 1976, and it's just like, well, here's how it's going to spin out of control, likely, or could. And then the second plot, which is just the behind the scenes network slash romance stuff. And it's just like it felt like two different movies.
I will admit I could have done without the whole like romance plot. The only one thing that the romance plot really highlighted, which you're not normally getting, is the moment. I think it was the first time she slept with
Max.
the guy, the old guy,
Max.
Max. Yeah, the first time she slept with Max. Basically, what happened there? She sees the TV and then immediately sort of like hops up on the edge of the bed and like pays attention to the TV and is like totally zoned in and thinking about her job instead of like what is supposed to be that time.
She does have one hilarious line though, which is when they're at dinner and she just goes, "Just so you know, told I'm a terrible lay." And like, he doesn't care. He's super old, and this young hot chick that's super interested in him, so he doesn't really care if she's a terrible lay or not. So it's even extra
She
funny
in
for that
fact
reason.
is a terrible lay.
She, in fact, was, which it was hilarious actually how they paid that off. So like that was the one thing I liked with her and Max in it. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, good shit.
So Murphy, have you any morsels for us?
Do I have any morsels? Well, I certainly do. I do have some morsels. Let me just pull those up. So we got movie morsels for the movie Night Network from 1976. Every one of Howard Beale's shows has the same studio audience. Note the man in the black vest with the long hair and a beard. Peter Finch was desperate to win the role of Howard Beale. Once he read the script, he even offered to pay his own airfare to New York City for the screen test. But Sidney Lumet was concerned about Finch's Australian accent. Finch won the part after sending Lumet a recording of himself reading the New York Times with a perfect American accent.
I didn't even know he was Australian, so I was convinced.
Yeah, neither did I. So it's kind of wild there.
Yeah.
The the on-air murder of Howard Beale was inspired by the real-life on-air suicide of anchorwoman Christine Chubbuck.
Oh, I didn't know that was a real thing.
Yeah, no,
But
neither did
that
I.
also didn't make sense. Like the fact that two guys just showed up to gun him down. Like he didn't seem to be stirring up that kind of shit. Sure, civil unrest, somewhat, but it's like it was vague. Like who was he targeting? Like that would hire two killers to come get him, you know?
Well, that's the problem with the
That
movie.
didn't make
That's
any
just
sense
how
to
it
me.
ends, Like there's no
Yeah.
explanation to anything. It's just like pop, 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 and it's over. And it's like, okay, well, that was a waste of time.
Yeah.
Writer Peter Chayefsky was eerily prophetic in his screenplay in three significant
Very.
ways. First, the screenplay pertains to the going on at UBS, the fictional fourth network existing alongside the non fictional ABC, CBS, and NBC. In 1987, Fox became the real fourth network. Second, in her speech to her employees about her goals for UBS, Diane Christensen by Faye Dunaway says, I don't want conventional programming on this network. I want counterculture. I want anti-establishment, the type of programming delivered by Fox with its two debut series, Married with Children, 1987, and The Tracy Ullman Show in 1987.
I feel like every network eventually gets a Faye Dunaway. Like somebody walked into MTV at some point and was just like, you know what? Who likes music these days anyway? Let's do reality shows and other bullshit. Like they all have one of these people and they all think they're so friggin' smart and they're not. They're destructive is what they are.
Um, Third, Diana Christensen's creation of the show about the Eucumen, sorry, Ecumenical Liberation Army and its criminal activities is precedent in the reality TV in that, as a result of the writers' strike of 1989, Fox started to run low on all new content to replace it. The network brought the show Cops 1989, which featured police officers trying to thwart criminal activity despite very noteworthy predecessors such as An American Family 1973, which depicted the experience of the Loud family, and Scared Straight 1978 from Consider Cops in 89, the true progenitor of the long-running trend of reality TV. And director Sidney Lumet and screenwriter Paddy Chayefsky claimed the film was not meant to be satire, but a reflection of what was really happening. Beatrice Straight, which
I
is
don't know if
Max's
I
wife.
buy that.
No, you don't think it.
I think
You don't
it's
think
pretty
you feel like
clearly
it.
a set. Like, it's not dripping in satire or anything, but like clearly all the Beale stuff is pretty satirical. And Ned Beatty, like, come on. But like Faye Dunaway's playing it straight for the most part.
Yeah, she's definitely playing it straight. Um,
I
speaking
mean,
of
it's two
straight,
movies. It's the satire movie and it's the like behind the scenes movie or TV network movie.
Speaking of straight, Beatrice Straight, who won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress, was
A
only in
segue.
2 scenes. The first, her only dialogue was "Wake up, Max," because Howard is gone, and the second was her 4 minute and 38-second diatribe against her husband's confession that he played by Holden, was having an affair with Diana Christensen.
This was
This
very
should-
good, actually.
Yeah, this should
Yeah.
qualify as one of the shortest screen times to win the coveted gold statue,
It is impressive.
right?
I mean, it wasn't even the best monologue in this movie, but it was very good. Like, I didn't like Max anyway, and I'm like, yeah, I totally get what you're saying. There, Max's wife.
Since the entire movie was filmed on location, all the office building scenes at night in which the city outside was seen through high-rise windows had to actually be filmed at night without backdrops. The rainstorm scene outside Frank Hackett's office when he rants about Howard Beale's ratings was also real and had to be matched with artificial rain for the following scene in the script of Howard Beale as he's walking on the street and his soaking wet, disheveled appearance thereafter. Paddy Chayefsky wanted Walter Matthau or Gene Hackman for Max Schumacher.
Not Hackman. Well, you know, for Max, okay, maybe.
Just Walter Matthau?
That's weird. Seeing some young lady hook up with Walter Matthau would not play right in my mind.
So weird.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, sorry, Walter Matthau. I love you.
During rehearsal, Sidney Lumet noticed William Holden would not look Faye Dunaway directly in the eye during dialogue dealing with his fear of aging and death. Lumet told Holden to instead never break eye contact, and Holden nailed the speech in one take.
Well, he was a big time actor back then, William Holden. His first appearance on this podcast, I believe. But the good thing about this podcast is a lot of things are showing up more than once. A lot of actors, a lot of directors. Like
a lot of
we're
scenes,
working our
like
way
the
through
swimming
cinema
scene.
history here, Murphy.
This was our
already.
second movie in this podcast where we watched two men race in the water, except one was epic and in the ocean and kind of an alright movie, and the other one was in a pool in the next movie that we're going to be talking about.
Oh, you mean Gattaca?
Yeah.
The Gattaca swim? That
Yeah,
swim
the
scene in
Gattaca
Gattaca
swim.
was good. Gattaca just
Right?
as a whole didn't work for me anymore. But
yeah. The famous line is specifically written by Paddy Chayefsky. "I'm as mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore" became "I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore" when uttered by Peter Finch, with the first "as" omitted. Finch had become so exhausted working on that particular scene he accidentally dropped the "as," causing writer Chayefsky much grief, but not enough to prompt
it's
director
way better.
Lumet to change the film dialogue.
It's better.
Right?
It's better. Like, no one is gonna be that precise in their dialogue when they run to a window and yell, "I'm mad as hell." And like, "I'm as mad as hell." It's just not colloquial. That's not how people talk. Maybe they did in 1976, but I don't think they did. I think Peter Finch nailed them.
Yeah. So again, I got wrap these ones up. So black radical Lauren Hobbs character is loosely modeled after communist activist Angela Davis. With his best screenplay win for this film, Paddy Chayefsky became the first screenwriter to win 3 Academy Awards for the script that he wrote by himself. The other 2 awards were for his work on Marty in 1955 and The Hospital in 1971. Contrary to popular belief, Woody Allen was not the second person to achieve this feat because his shared Oscar for Annie Hall in 1977 was with Marshall Brickman. Director Sidney Lumet witnessed Peter Finch's death. Finch was seated in the lobby of the Beverly Hills Hotel waiting for Lumet to go to an interview for the film together when he collapsed of a heart attack. As Lumet approached, Finch was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead in the ICU
Oh my
several
God,
hours
he
later,
didn't even get to see the release of his last movie that he
never
so
regaining
much wanted to.
consciousness.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. See, this movie did bring all this stuff into existence. Sidney Lumet, for shame you and your witchcraft powers.
uh, in 2005, I guess it was a sacrifice. In 2005, in preparation for what would eventually be a scrapped project for a live television adaptation of this film, George Clooney screened the film for a group of teens and young adults in order to determine their reactions to it. He found, much to his surprise, that none of the young people recognized the film as satire. I couldn't
Yeah,
understand it,
exactly.
Clooney told the Associated Press. Then he realized that everything Padashevsky wrote about had happened. Screenwriter Aaron Sorkin has claimed that Padashevsky, and particularly his script for this film, had been a majority inspiration for his own writing, and he has written no prediction of the future, not even Orwell, has ever been as right as Chayefsky as when he wrote Network.
Yeah, it might be true. I mean, this movie is insanely. Like, we'll talk about it later when we get to Nightcrawler, but my God.
Sidney Lumet openly admitted that he was furious to have the picture lose to Rocky in 1976 for Best Picture at the Academy Awards.
Rocky's a better movie than this.
And this is the last one. According to Sidney Lumet, the mad as hell speech was filmed in 1.5 takes. Midway through the second take, Peter Finch abruptly stopped in exhaustion. Lumet was unaware of Finch's failing hard at the time, but in any case, did not ask for a third take. The complete film features the second of the first take and the first half of the second take. And that's how it's done. Cinematography was by Owen Roisman, edited by Alan Heim, and music by Elliot Lawrence. Release date of November 27, 1976, with a running time of 121 minutes. The budget was $3.8 million with a box office of $23.7 million.
Rewatchability. You gonna watch this one again?
I feel like I could watch scenes of this one again. I feel like the majority I could probably skip. But you know what? I probably would rewatch it again, especially if there was somebody I met and they're like, I've never seen this movie. I'd be like, we should watch this.
I'm there with you. Like, I'm so mixed on this movie, but like the good things shine through the things I don't like. I do believe.
Right? Like I was ready to be like,
I would
nah,
want to
this
watch
is
that Ned
boring.
Beatty scene again. I want to watch the Beale stuff again.
Yeah,
for sure.
pretty
I'll
much
watch this again in, like,
pretty much the majority
20
of every
years.
Peter Finch scene.
Mm-hmm. We agree. Rewatchability on Network. All right. Does it hold up? The big question. I'm going to start us off here, and let me say this, Murphy. As a satire, it definitely does not hold up in the slightest, as George Clooney found out. As a satire, absolutely does not hold up. So you have to take it completely different. Because if you're going into this expecting to like get a bit of a chuckle from like Doctor Strangelove or another good old satire, you're not going to find it here, really. I mean, a couple of chuckles, like the Ned Beatty and the bullshit line and stuff, and the thing about her being a terrible lay, but it just doesn't play like a satire anymore, as you said. It's just a disturbingly accurate movie. And for that reason, it does hold up.
Well, you know what?
And the
It's not
performances are
just a
great.
movie. In fact, if anything, this is probably one of my favorite documentaries next to Mars Attacks.
There you
Like
go.
this movie holds up without a shadow of a doubt. It it's just kind of
It's not the
delivered
way it
in a
was intended.
boring package, and the side story subverts from the things you really want to watch. And
Yeah, that's its problem.
admittedly, that's the big problem with it. So, but it is an experience to watch and just kind of be in awe of like, wow, this is a thing. This is happening. It's all right. Here we are. 76 got it right, and we're in 2023.
Yeah, man, they
So,
gotta like
yeah, it holds up.
we should be. Why are we still talking about Nostradamus when there's this guy?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. I wonder what else he's written about.
Yeah, seriously. All right, so we have an addition to our A movies tonight, joining the likes of Matinee, so you know you're in good company, and House Party, and Soylent Green, and Doctor Strangelove. Yeah. The Bridge on the River Kwai, lots of good stuff here, and now Network and North by Northwest from last episode. So let's move on to Theater 2, shall we?